All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Connie Vanderzanden, and today for NABA Oregon, I'll be presenting 7 money actions to create a resiliency plan for your business. And we're going to provide some slides for you to take notes on, and there'll be plenty of ways for you to get your questions answered at the end. As you come in, if you have questions, you want to send me, it's Connie at profitwithconnie.com. If you're live on the webinar, you can just put it in the chat and we'll answer them at the end. So first, I just wanted to share some NABA Oregon resources and what we have coming up. So we have Coffee and Collaboration on the 9th and the 10th, Women Connecting Women on Monday, April 6th, and Meet NABA Virtual Happy Hour on the 9th. All of that can be found on Eventbrite. And today at 7 p.m. later is the Gain Financial Confidence in an Unprecedented Time of Uncertainty. And then on April 14th, How to Use Instagram Marketing for Business. And I recommend everyone go out and check NABA.Oregon or NABA.org for more information. So today, what did I promise? I promised how to craft a bare minimum financial plan for your business and your household, the importance of cash conservation and the actions to take now, what to do with any extra money that you might get in, and why now is essential to plan for recovery. So just a little bit about me. Well, let me share about NABA. For those that don't know, NABA, a National Association of Women Business Owners, propels women entrepreneurs into economic, social, and political spheres of power worldwide by strengthening the wealth, creating capacity of our members, and promoting economic development within the entrepreneurial community, creating innovative and effective change in the business culture. Thank you, COVID-19, for forcing most of us to do that. Building strategic alliances, coalitions, and affiliations, and transforming public policy and influencing opinion makers. I am a cash flow and business mentor. I have over 34 years in the accounting industry. I've owned my business for 19, and I've had at least 2 major pivots in the business model. During the growth phase, I didn't plan for it. I created it like I thought everyone thought it should be and got $50,000 in debt. If you had looked at me at that time, you would have thought everything was great and shiny. And then behind the scenes, there was a lot of shame and guilt. I felt like I was alone. I was stuck, and I was really stressed out. I got introduced to Profit First and it saved my business. And so from that, I did a lot of personal development and coaching, and now I share all of that with my clients, and to support them in a different way of looking at their numbers. My purpose, my purpose here on this earth is to make numbers easy, and my passion is working one-on-one with women entrepreneurs and business owners on crafting a new way to look at, use, and plan their numbers for their business. I'm interested in supporting businesses that want to be impactful and at the same time sustainable. So today's first tip is compassion. So we have to have a lot of compassion, not only for ourselves, but for the vendors, our team members, the customers, because no one expected COVID-19 to happen. No one planned for it. And if you found yourself at home and you have a business, you're a stay-at-home parent, a single parent, maybe homeschooling your kids, that's 3 different jobs. Nobody planned for this. And so there may be times in your business that you may need to pause. You may need to take a step back, let alone be affected by income or expenses or anything. So I just wanted to start with compassion, because I think all of us just need to give ourselves a little bit more self-care and compassion of where we're at, and let some things go. But also remember to have compassion when you're having conversations with your vendors, your bank, and all your customers, because we're all in this together. So the key thing is to know your numbers. So there are some phases to do this. First, you need to evaluate your expenses, and you can put them in columns, like what's the must-have and what's the wants. And you could do this for your business and your household. And then once you have the must and the wants, maybe you prioritize them, because when we get down to the last one about what if extra money comes in, maybe one of the things on your want list can come over based on that. Then start reviewing your income. What things need to happen right now for your income? Do you have customers that owe you? clients that owe you, could you work out a payment plan with them? Can you offer them a discount? Are you for sure that no income is coming in, like restaurants? Yes, they had to close their doors. If they didn't innovate and change to takeout, they didn't have any income coming in. So kind of figure out what that reserve is, and then run a couple of scenarios. Now, the whole purpose of knowing your numbers at this point is deciding what your bare minimum is to get to break even. So you got to have some idea of what the income is going to be, and I would use 30, 60, and 90-day scenarios. I really think it's going to be a 90-day situation. Look at your expenses. What is the bare minimum expenses you need to keep going? And then the wants. And then you have a decision. Now that you know your numbers, you choose one of these three things. You either pause your business, you have enough cash flow to come in. For example, I spoke with a sales coach who has enough income, her husband, and she decided to cut a bunch of expenses. They're, of course, being at home, they didn't have tuition for their kids, so she could take a pay cut in her business. And so she's really deciding how to pause her business. At the same time, though, she's finding innovation. Like she can now do a sales training video class that she can like tape all that. But now that she's pretty much a single parent during the day, her time to do that is much reduced. So innovating is going to take a little while. And then I spoke with another client that's a healer, and she's always wanted to like let go of her commercial space and do remote healings. She has that option now, and she can do it from her home, and her bare minimum expenses aren't that much. So we have options, but you won't know what those options are until you look at your numbers. So I have a course, I have a webinar I'm going to make available to everyone that would like it. It's going to walk you through how to create that bare minimum budget. But basically, you're going to evaluate your expenses. You can take the last 6 months. I like to take 12 months. But you want to find out what those are. Create that list between must-haves and wants. Review your income to see what possibly is going to come in. And then run some scenarios. And you can do it on a piece of paper. I personally like to put it into a spreadsheet, because I like the spreadsheet model so that it helps me do some of the math, and then you can copy the different sheets. And then once you have the scenarios down, then decide, are you going to pause your business? Is there ways that you can innovate your business so that you can create different type of cash flow? Or are you simply going to let it go? All right. And then once you have those numbers in place, the next key thing to do is cash conservation. So we have our musts and our wants. On our must side, how can you conserve cash over there? You can ask for delayed payments. A lot of landlords are letting people push their April rent, and they can collect it in 60 days. I had a client, her bank, like a lot of the banks are pushing mortgages and loan payments. So what that happened for her is they pushed her loan payment for 90 days. And so all of that got added to her balloon payment at the end of the loan. So you're going to need to ask a lot of conversations. So like communication is really key in this area, but you can ask for a delayed payment, and don't fear calling them. We're all in this together. COVID-19 is here. They are actually expecting your call. So ask them. Another thing you can do is renegotiate. And then you can also ask to have things put on hold. There might be some expenses. For example, I was set to shoot another set of training videos at my co-working space here in Portland, and can't get into my co-working space. So we had to put all those expenses on hold, and we'll pick them back up when we can get back into the space. You can renegotiate now. Right now is a great time to be calling and talking to your credit card companies and your loans, because the interest rates have fallen. So is that something you can do? But yeah, don't assume that something's going to happen. Communicate up front, which is a little bit uncomfortable, but know that they're expecting your calls. And the key thing I heard from a CFO webinar I was on last week: document, document, document. Everything that you talk to, who you talk to, document it in some fashion. So then we've gotten through having more compassion for ourselves, knowing your numbers, cash conservation. The fourth tip is ask for what you need. So I want to get really clear. We know what the numbers are, but what else do you need? How else can people support you? Do you need personal or business emotional support? Do you need somebody to sit down and brainstorm with you? Do you just need a venting session? Know if you need those things. Physical. Do you need physical resource? Well, that would be cash. Do you need something like that, or food, or help with the kids? Or there are other things that people could do, like if you do have kids at home, you could do virtual play dates. A lot of parents I know that I've talked to in the last 2 weeks have really been not happy about the screen time, but there are other ways that you can get around that. Like I saw a friend of mine, her 6-year-old had a birthday, and the 6-year-old was on the porch, and the neighbors came out on the street and they had a little party. So you have to think innovatively about what things can happen. So marketing support. If you're doing like a class like this, can your community support you by sharing that information? If you need education, this is a great time to do trainings, reach out for support, anything like that. I just want to pause for a minute because we've had a lot of people get into the webinar since we started. There is a really quick and dirty handout in the chat with the slides for today if you guys need any questions. We are recording it, and I will make that available as well in case you missed anything. So get really clear about what you need, because the next step we're going to go into, you're going to lean into your community and ask for it. But if you just go into it where, like, I think when this first happened, a lot of it was just resources, was cash. Like a lot of businesses here in the Portland area, like restaurants, were like, buy our gift certificates, or they moved to takeout. That was their ask of how people could support them. But when you're in professional services, consulting, it's hard to do that. And I think people that are doing direct sales are even having like, oh, people don't have money, they may not be able to buy, but the community's waiting for people to ask. They're not going to be able to know what you need unless you actually use your voice and ask for what you need. Okay, so number 5 is the community. Together, we will rebuild. So what can you give back to your community? How can you be of value? How can you support others? Can you do a training? Right now, a lot of people are new to Zoom, so they might need a training on how to get in and out. Your parents or the elderly people you know may need a little help on learning how to use FaceTime or different supports like that. I am healthy and a lot younger than a lot of my neighbors, so I could offer to go grocery shopping for them. They all seem to be wanting to do it themselves. I think they're a little stir crazy. But what can we do for our community? What can we do for our business community? What can we do for our family and friends? That's key number 5. Number 6 is the what ifs. What if more money happens to come in than your bare minimum? A lot of these questions have been coming up around debt. What if we have a lot of debt? I don't want to get into more debt. So what if more money comes in? Well, my recommendation is if more money comes in, do a 50-50 split. 50% could go pay debt, 50% in savings, because I do think most people are going to want to build their savings right now, so they have that foundational support that the business is there to support them, and the stress of the lack of money coming in will be less. But you want to have a plan. So what if more money comes in? You can go back to number 2, which was know your numbers, and you decided what your wants and your must-haves and your wants are. If you have actual money come in, you could now add some wants back. And then do you need a cash influx? Now, I'm not going to go over this a lot, but right now the SBA loans are available. You can actually apply for them tomorrow, and I'm going to switch screens. So the small business Paycheck Protection is the most popular one right now. This is what we're recommending, and a lot of banks are still getting the application up and ready. But basically, this one is going to be able to fund up to 8 weeks of payroll costs, including benefits. So it's going to pay for cover the taxes, health insurance, the payroll, and then cover mortgage, rents, and utilities. Part of it will be fully forgiven as long as you use some of it for payroll. I will say the emails I've been seeing, and I'm just going to pull up on my other screen the email I saw today come through. Let me look. Somebody was giving some great advice on how to fill out the forms. So she got stuck in a couple areas. So she filled out the loan for herself, and the right entity question was the first one. So I pulled up, so the SBA has this, and you can pull up this sample application right here, and here's the application. And one of the first questions online, so this is just a sample application to help you pull your information together. And then you'll enter all this information online. The first question was, are you a business with less than 500 employees or an individual sole proprietorship? So that's sticking some people, and the best option seems to be to answer business with less than 500 employees. But you have to make your own decision there, because if you're like, I'm in business, I'm an S Corp, I'm the only employee technically, so I would be a business with less than 500 employees. But if you're a single member LLC or a sole prop, that might stick you a little bit. So make sure you get contact your CPA or your banker and walk through those questions if you have any issues. Can I email a link to the PP form URL? I'll put it in chat, and then you guys can get it from there. But we can put it on the handout when I create it, yes. And then they wanted to, you're gonna actually fill out your bank information. So just be really cautious about as you enter the information. She pointed out the situation that normally when you fill out anything online, it goes for bank number, account number, bank name, routing number, and then your account name, number. And on this online form, they've switched the routing number and account number spots. So it goes bank name, account number, and bank routing number. So the recommendation right now is just to go slow. And then I also wanted to point the other thing that was interesting. So NABA sent this out today, is that this starts tomorrow. So gather all your information today, because applications are going to be accepted tomorrow. You're going to want to check with your bank, because they're going to help you out with this. But what's the difference between a small business and sole proprietorship and self-employed individuals, which can't apply for it until next week? I don't know. Nobody knows. I would say if you feel like you are self-employed an individual, that I would go ahead and apply for it tomorrow. I would say the one difference between independent contractors and a small business, an independent contractor would be somebody that is just getting 1099s. They have, they're doing business under their own name. They haven't filed for any type of EIN. They don't have a website or business cards. So as a small business, you are actively out there promoting yourself. You actively are having other business expenses. You may or may not have a website. I wouldn't use that as a definition. So NABA, by being a member of NABA, we keep up to date on these types of things. So if you are a member of NABA, this email should show up, and it had the sample application link and all that information there. And Denise is saying she thinks the difference is if they have employees, which is April 3rd deadline, and those who don't have employees on their payroll is the April 10th deadline. Yes and no. That's where I'm getting the conflicting information, because I'm hearing people are planning on the online form. Are you, one of the first questions is businesses with less than 500 employees or individual sole proprietors. I am getting some people answering that question, businesses with less than 500 employees, especially if they're an LLC. As an LLC, you are a single member LLC, sole proprietorship. So the terminology is confusing a little bit still. And they're still writing all the rules for this. But if you have the opportunity, I recommend taking action to at least get the application form in, and then they can always ask questions. And if you have questions, I would contact your bank and have them go through the information with you as well. All right, let me get back. And so, let's hide that. Okay. So if you need other influxes, so it's not only just the SBA, so you can see this website, go to sba.gov. They have, I think right on the first page, a link to the disaster loan applications. There are a couple loans on there. There's the $10,000 and then there's the EIDL loan. I would also contact your banks. A lot of people are using their line of credits and getting them extended, but not using it. I do want to stress, I think in the first week, I actually saw somebody, a tax pro had told their client to max out their line of credit and take all the cash out. Now, that is fear that the banks are going to go under, and that is not going to happen, or I don't believe that's going to happen. I believe there is a lot of things in place that would not happen. And I do not recommend that. But if you have access to a line of credit, you may want to call the bank and see if they can bump that up a little bit and make it available. You can always ask for them to decrease it afterwards. Other places to look at are credit cards, your own home equity loans, and of course, family and friends. Now, if you do reach out to family and friends, do document it, do put it in writing. It's going to save a lot of emotional work on the other side. So what ifs, if you have more money than your bare minimum, recommendation is 50-50 debt and savings. And you may want to be able to add more wants back to your life. And then if you need a cash influx, start thinking about that and getting that ready. And then the last step, number 7, is plan for recovery now. I really recommend that you capture the roadblocks you are currently experiencing, the emotional roadblocks, the resources, and the physical, because they are really, you're really in it right now. And if you don't capture it now in a journal or in notes, 6 months, 12 months from now, when you go to sit down to write your disaster plan, they won't be as powerful to you. You'll kind of belittle them and not actually take action on them next time. Because when this is all said and done, you've actually lived through a disaster, and now you can actually create a disaster plan for your business. For example, one client I know, all their team members got sent home, and they realized that the team members didn't have the right computer equipment to do the work. So they had to then get new monitors and get them all set up. So part of the disaster plan next time would be to make sure everyone has the right equipment and what that would look like. You may have found that you got home and you didn't have the right desk set up. What would that look like? A lot of people didn't have cameras on their computers to do Zoom calls. So that's all part of that plan. The emotional side, as immediate things happened, yes, it would be nice to have 3 months reserve, but I wrote this down. I was just on a call with somebody, and cashflow.com said that 51% of businesses do not have enough money to weather a 90-day issue like this. And 75% of businesses will have a reduction in sales during COVID-19. So part of your recovery plan and the disaster plan will be to, how do I build that reserve? How do I successfully pay down my debt and build reserves, so if this happens ever in the future, you have that taken care of. And you can do that for yourself and your household. And then right now is a good time, as we innovatively look at things. Take some creative time to dream and envision what you desire to create, because when we get to this other side, when COVID-19 is well undertaken, it's not, okay, how do I say it? It's going to reduce. The stress around it's going to reduce. We're going to find ways to protect ourselves and take care of those that are ill. we're going to be able to get back to work, get back to a situation. But I personally don't think, and people can, if you have something different in the chat, you can definitely pipe up over there. I don't think it's ever going to be like it was back in February. I think how we do business moving forward is going to be very different. And so you have time now to re-envision what you want for your business, to plan for your recovery, to know what you'd like to do. I think a lot of businesses will go online. I think a lot of it will be it's going to be a little noisier at first. So how do you get recognized? How do you stand out? How do you make a difference in your community? I think Katie's on the line. I think I saw her. And I think Katie is a real estate agent. If you're not, we're just going to say Katie is a real estate agent.
That's
so
right.
How do you get out in the community so people know your name and know how to refer to you? Because that's going to be the key thing. If people aren't going to be going face-to-face as much in the future, how do you still stand out? So planning for recovery is going to be the key phase. So capturing your roadblocks, know what you're experiencing emotionally, what resources you needed, physical things that may have come up, and take some time to creatively dream and envision what you desire to create for the future. So the last step is, what kind of next steps are you going to do? And then we're going to open it for Q&A. But so the action items, what next steps do you need to take? The first one is know your numbers. Craft a bare minimum plan. And if you don't know how to do that, email me. I have a class I just recorded, and it's available on the YouTube channel I have. It's 7 steps to creating a financial plan. I have a worksheet and a handout from the training that you can do. So that'll help you craft that. But we went through it. So it was break out your expenses, find the difference between your wants and your must-haves and your wants, and then prioritize them. Look at your revenue, what's going to come in, what's going to reduce, how can you collect on it. If it's clients, can you offer them a discount? Can you offer them a payment plan? How can you keep them as clients? Sorry, Denise has asked if I can put the financial map URL on the chat. I don't have it right here right now. So if you want to email me, we can send it to you, because the URL, yeah, I don't have it. I'll have to ask my team where it is, honestly. So look at your revenue and your expenses, and then put it on the, do some scenarios. What's your bare minimum? What can you do if you have this much money? You know, create 3 scenarios. And I would plan out what's going to happen 30 days. Like if you're closed all of April, 60 days, if we go to May, you know, June, 90 days. I do think you need to look at 90 days as a definitely decrease in cash of some sort. So think 30, 60, 90. Right now I'm working with clients based on, like, I have a therapist in New York who can't get to their clinic. And so we think for sure that the clinic is going to be closed at least 60 days. So what does that mean? They can still do some income. And so we calculated a metric based on what type of bare minimum income could be created. And thank you, Katie. And then what I would do next is get that bare minimum amount so that you know what that is, so that you can go into cash conservation now. And then cash conservation, what does that look like? Can you delay any payments? Can you be very proactive, communicate, request late payments, renegotiate any credit card, loans, contracts that you might have with a contractor that's working for you? Put on hold anything, like, for example, my photo shoot or my video shoot that I was going to do at Vita. Don't assume, make sure you communicate, but they are waiting for your calls. They are expecting your calls, but you may have to be on hold for a while. And then document everything that you talk about. Once you know those things, then you can ask for what you need, but consider everything that you might need. Your emotional support, personal or business. Do you need brainstorming or venting? Physical resources, like cash. Marketing support. Can somebody share your information so it gets to a broader audience? And then regular education. Do you need more education about something? Do you need to ask questions about how to fill out the loan applications? And then as a community, we will support you. So be willing to, what can you be of value? How can you support others? And then look at the what ifs. What if more money came in? What if you were able to reduce some expenses through your cash conservation, which created a more when cash flow coming in? What would you do with that? What if you do need a cash influx? Start looking at those options. And we went through that the SBA loan opens tomorrow, so get ready for that and look at that application online and be prepared. And again, you may need to reach out to your tax pros or your bookkeeper or accountant to pull some of that information together. And then in the downtime, create something for your recovery. We are going to recover. We are going to come out of this. What would you like your business to look like? And capture all these little roadblock things that have been coming up, because you're going to need that to create your disaster plan for the future. So again, if you need support, I did do that class, 7 steps to creating a financial map. That'll help you create your bare minimum budget, or the financial plan. That's what I call it. I don't like the word budget. I'm off. Anybody can schedule 30 minutes consult with me, no charge. I want to just make sure you guys understand the information, that you know what your next steps are. So if, get on that and schedule something. And then if you have any questions, you can email me at Connie@ProfitWithConnie. So let me stop my share. And I'm going to stop the recording.